Hi. So I was trying to film this and then my friend texted me and it stopped the camera. How annoying. Right, so I'm starting again. So I'm teaching today part of my sequences that I'm teaching this week. So this week is week commencing the 12th of November. Last week we looked at twisted triangle, we looked at triangle, we looked at Parsvakonasana. So I'll just quickly throw those shapes. So here is triangle, or my version triangle. It looks different to Iyengar version triangle in that I approach it front on. So I'm moving from the hips, finding length, trying to keep these ribs tucked in. Hands drift down, maybe to ground or to shin, and then I'm turning the chest around the spine. And again, keeping those lower ribs tucked in, so I'm not dropping it into low back. So there is triangle. Twisted triangle, the only reason I taught it is very selfish. I've got a very tight lower calf. So in somatics, which is something I like to teach, we look at the idea that muscles aren't tight. The brain's forgotten how to relax that muscle. So I like to do this because it's not somatic motion, but I do like to mix up yoga and somatics, but it helped me bring awareness to that left calf. So again, ribs align, trying to keep that belly nice and tall, lower back long, bringing the hand across, so again I can drop down, and then I'm turning the ribs around the spine. Feel that really lovely in that left calf. And then we also taught this one, Parsvakonasana. So I taught this one because I have a tight right hip and I found it as a very nice lengthening sensation through this right hip. So yeah, a little bit about anatomy. So yeah, somatics, I do teach that as well, separately to this. I'm going to do a lesson in about 45 minutes of somatics at a venue very close by. Somatics is the idea that the body and mind get a little bit of sensory motor amnesia. They kind of forget what it's like to, the brain forgets about a muscle in a way, and messages get lost. And sometimes you'll find that muscles get contracted and the body accepts this as a new normal. And my left calf has a new normal. It thinks that it should be as it is. And it's only when I perform particular actions and I think, you're not as long as you should be. So I'm trying to work, I do some somatic motions to, release it. But then I like to do little things like the triangle to try and, I've got windy pups to release it. The hip thing, I got an injury a few months ago and I felt something kind of go in my back. It was a muscular thing. I felt it just kind of make a little twangy sensation. And then over the coming days, I felt a tightening in here. And it resulted in me being unable to sit like this. And as you can tell, I can sit like this now, but my legs should be a lot floppier outwards. I think there's still an element of tightness. I can feel it here in this part here. But yeah, so basically it was my iliopsoas contracted, which are these muscles down here. So you have ribs and your diaphragm, and then you have a muscle, two sets of muscles that go down either side of the spine, connects through the pelvis, and connects really here on the lesser trochanter, top of the thigh bone. And so that had contracted. And then there's another one which so here's the crest of your hips, and inside it there's a big muscle. And what I'm sensing now from what I know about the body is I feel there's a tightness in there. So that little action, the Parsvakonasana, I can feel it in a very nice way releasing into the hips. Anyway, so what we're doing today is doing a little bit more hip work. Selfishly, because I'm a teacher, I can do things that help me and hopefully they'll help you. So what I know about this area of the body is if it's tight in any way, like it's forgotten how to belong, it has this action on the back. So it contracts, this happens, and you're not getting backache. This is constantly contracted. They are therefore, so a tight muscle is a weak muscle. It feels very tender. You compress in the lower back and then you think, oh, my back hurts. And it's because this feels normal, and really it could be somewhere in between, a little bit softer. So we're going to be doing a few little bits to look at lengthening, and I'm going to start with the somatic motion. So this has been heading up my class. I like to blend somatics in my warm-ups, and they're just lovely. So, there was a cushion underneath me because, like I said, been filming this and then a message came through and completely stopped the film, which is why I had a random cushion just underneath me a second ago. So I'm going to ask, if you want to, you can sit on a cushion. That has the action of lifting hips. You might think this is still not a very nice place to sit. I'm going to have my legs out in front of me. That isn't, just because you see a teacher with the legs crossed doesn't mean you have to shoehorn yourself into that position. People have got different anatomies, and I think, my body automatically, I think it suits yoga because I think I'm built like, well, I've got, we did a genetic test on me, this thing called 23andMe, and turns out I've got high percentage Neanderthal within me. So I think it said the average person has got 2% and I'm 4%. Woo! So that's why I kind of like to explain that I've got long arms, big tiny legs, so I'm kind of like getting there to being kind of gorilla-ish in my body. So yeah, there's like, so you might be, so there's that, I think that, so that suits me. I can sit quite happily on the ground. Also, I think I've got my thigh socket is slightly out to the side, and I think I've got a shallow necked femur, which again allows these knees to drop out. So basic anatomy, if you think about your hips, if your thigh bones, your thigh socket is slightly forwards, your knees might be here. Another thing that might be stopping people from sitting upright is just tension. So if you've got any tension running on these inner thighs for some reason or another, you know, these knees might be sitting up, and you're going to kind of feel that you're holding yourself to sit up and you're fighting gravity, kind of sitting on your tailbone. So what I'm asking you to do is, you know, sit comfortably, sit bones on the ground, pelvis. We're just going to try and address the position of the pelvis. So again, you could sit on a cushion, you could take your legs out, you can have them completely out in front of you, pelvis uplifted. So again, I'm just going to demonstrate this with a block. There, oh, that's nice. So pelvis. I want you just to kind of then bring awareness to pubic bone and tailbone. So I'm just going to close my eyes and I'm just going to rock. So this is just so I can kind of take vision away, just try not to look around me. I'm just trying to really kind of look down and just imagine I can see my pelvis from within. And I'm just going to tilt it forwards, I'm going to tilt it back. And in doing that, I'm just trying to find that place where it's neither push forwards with ribs lifted or push back with ribs sunk. Okay, that's kind of where I feel like I should be, and then I'm going to climb up the spine and I'm just going to bring awareness to the lowest ribs here. Are they pushed forwards? Are they sank down? Or are they somewhere in between? I'm just going to turn the head from side to side, so the neck and the head meet at the roof of the mouth, and I'm just going to get in that sense of that pivot. So the head isn't here, the head is looking forwards. I'm just going to roll the shoulders softly down. So I'm going to bring these heels back into where I feel comfortable. I'm going to take this block away because I feel quite comfortable without the block. And taking ourselves into a pose called the Egyptian. So I'm going to just kind of round my arms. Imagine, I think of Dirty Dancing, carrying watermelons under each arm. I'm just going to bring my ribs out to the side. So I've rounded here and I've made a C shape here, dropping the opposite shoulder. In breath to centre, and again going to the opposite side. So I'm dropping the shoulder, C shape, fullness. In breath, out breath. In breath, out breath. And what I'm sensing is length. I kind of feel like I'm really just kind of begin to release into this left hip. In breath, out breath. You can see where it might be called the Egyptian because there's that head thing in the centre and the body's moving. I'm a bit of a rubbish sphinx if I'm honest, but there you go. And then I'm going to bring it to centre. Hands to the knees. In breath, roll, can tip into the tailbone, lowering the gaze, just feeling that fullness through the back of the body as everything at the back is lengthened. And then I'm going to take an out breath. And I'm just thinking about the centre of the chest, lifting up and guiding me up, letting my shoulders roll back, lifting the chin, expelling all that breath. In breath. Out breath. In breath. Out breath. So I can sense openness now, length through the front, shortness through the back. And in breath, fullness through the back, shortness through the front, and the shoulders are widening at the front, shortening at the back, and widening at the back, shortening at the front. So I'm just having awareness of what the body is doing here. Those fingers are soft, they are following the shoulders. So you know there's big movements through the arms, but the action is coming from the shoulders. So bringing to centre, taking us to full Egyptian. In breath, out breath, across, forwards, to the side, back, across, forwards. And what I can sense my pelvis is almost like there's a disc at the bottom. I'm just going to find every edge of that disc. And above it, there is a swirling action of the spine, and that head is just kind of bobbing around with it, letting the head almost try to stay level. And then I'm going to go the opposite way. And then to seated, I'm taking myself now into a twist. So I'm going to bring one hand across. This is my right hand, and I'm going to bring my left hand around. So for the purpose of teaching, I'm going to call that my left. I'm going to call this my left hand, so you can mirror, and this my right hand. Notice I haven't kind of dropped back into the hand. I do notice when I'm teaching, a lot of people, as I put your hand behind and they do this. I think, no, that's not what I should do. So you want to try and keep your weight in your hips. So this hand is just really just to guide you. I want you to keep the fingertips behind you. I don't want you to let the hand come out. I was teaching this yesterday, and this guy just kept moving his hand, and I'm thinking, am I moving my hand? No, no, no. Keep it still. So that hand is just there just to guide. The elbow moves and the shoulder moves, but the fingers stay put. So I've got a hand here, I've got a hand there, and I've got a shoulder here. So just think about whether or not I am pushing ribs forwards. No, we want to keep them tucked in. So have a very nice neutral spine, resting down through the hips. And again, you can bring these legs out. You can sit and block if you so wish. Bringing now awareness to the right shoulder. I'm going to bring it in towards the spine behind me. So as I'm squeezing that shoulder in, I'm feeling tension through the back of the shoulder. I'm feeling lengthening through the front of the shoulder. What I'm noticing is that it is turning my chest. And then all I'm going to do now is take an out breath and let go of that shoulder, and just let it turn myself back towards the knee. So in breath, out breath, in breath, out breath. So you're thinking, okay, what's that about? That looks pretty easy. So it is, but what you start to notice is you're going to change your sense of perception. As you look behind you, just notice how far you can see. And as we bring in the next portion of this, you're going to start to notice at the end that you see a lot further round. So just one more time, as I breathe in, draw the shoulder back, I'm feeling release into this hip. I'm just kind of noticing there's more release in the neck. So out breath. Now I'm going to tip the right shoulder forward and down towards the knee. Oh, that's nice. I'm feeling really sense a great length through this bottom left portion of my back. In breath, right shoulder guides back, looking again to the space behind me. Out breath, sinking forwards and down. In breath, right shoulder guides me back. Out breath, sinking down. In breath. Out breath. In breath. Out breath. In breath. Out breath. I'm just going to pause here for 3 breaths. In breath, taking my gaze around, I can see a lot further around behind. Revolving to the opposite side, so right hand to left knee, left hand behind, shoulder drawing down, and again, in breath, squeeze, ribs are in. Out breath, relax, turn just gently forward. So it's the relaxing of the shoulder that turns the chest. In breath. Out breath. In breath. Out breath. And I'm just sensing the action of the back of the body to guide me around. Feel the openness at the front of the body. And again, I'm just now going to become aware of this right hip and the left shoulder. So I'm going to bring the left shoulder forwards and down towards the left knee. Bow here. In breath, rising, turning. Out breath, sinking forwards. In breath, shoulder rises. Out breath, shoulder draws down. In breath. Out breath. In breath. Out breath. So I'm just going to stay here for 3 breaths. In breath. Seal a lot further round. Out breath, coming back to centre. I'm now just going to bring these fingertips to the ground in front of me, and I'm going to in breath, well, actually going to bring them to the knee. In breath, raise the chest and contract the muscles of the back, squeezing them. Out breath, hands come forward, sliding them down. I'm just going to pause, come onto fingertips, and I'm just going to kind of shrug the shoulders down and making my spine, my belly tense. I'm lifting my heart, bringing tension into the back of the body. Out breath, sliding those hands forwards and down. In breath again, tensing the shoulders, contracting the muscles of the back, making the belly incredibly tense. Out breath, sinking down. Rising up. And then I'm taking my feet out in front of me. So that's kind of how I've been starting my classes this week, releasing into the hips. So one thing I'm just going to do now is, there I had a lot of tension in this hip, and it's from this action, that twisting action, I can feel that it's just kind of let go a little bit of it. And I've been asking people at this point, do you sense changes in your hips? Do you perceive change in the hips? So let's just bring ourselves just to sit for a moment and just check through the weight of the body, right knee, left knee. Head balanced on top of the spine. I don't feel as wonky, I feel like I'm sitting a bit more upright, and I can just feel myself pretty grounded. So that's part of today's class. I'm just going to pause, and I'm going to take you through the standing poses in the next video.